Ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys Nation, it's Wednesday. We got a game tomorrow. And I'm at work still. Such is life. But we're still going to bring the heat. Dom, Spoon, definitely going to hold y'all down. I'll be back in here a little bit later. But with that being said, y'all know the drill. Let's start the show.
BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Present. Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes. Cool. And the margaritas.
Right. Here, we're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
And the Cowboys have it. It's Parsons on top of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back in the building. I'm going to pivot out of here and go handle some business at the shop. Leave you all in the good hands of Spoonie and the Dom, Mr. Dominic White. All right, guys. I'll check in here as soon as we get up out of here, and I'll be back on. Y'all go ahead and kill it.
Yes, sir. We'll hold it down. Hey, Spoonie, man. How you doing this day, man?
Blessed here. You got Cowboy football on the way. I just can't wait. Can't wait.
Yes, sir. You know, I'm going to just go ahead and jump in it. I'm having a fantastic day. Wearing the star on my chest, ready to get this thing rolling for tomorrow. Man, it seems like Dallas played so long ago with the Thanksgiving game versus the Commanders. Man, it seems like so much has happened since then. You know, the rest of the league had to play after us, but the Cowboys showed up against the Commanders. So let's talk a little bit about how the Cowboys ended up steamrolling the Commanders 45-10. And, you know, one of the things I want to really bring up, Spoonie, is the first point about that game, but also what we've been able to see out of the Cowboys is the fact that they're starting to get this thing calibrated just right. You know, I'm a fan of movies and shows, any kind of series that's showing like bank heist, where they go in and they start to try to crack open that bank. And you got the one guy skilled enough to be able to get into the safe, just ever so slightly starting to click at the right time, and you're hearing it, you're seeing it, you're feeling that of Dallas. So we talked about how early season, you really don't want to be firing on all cylinders, but you want it to be kind of a slow burn. Continue to get better week after week. You want to see them close gaps in areas where they definitely need some refinement. And that's what we're seeing out of this Cowboys team. So based on what we've been able to see and based on what you feel about the Cowboys and how they're playing a brand and a style of football that we've been wanting to see, what are your overall thoughts about these last three games, how they've been able to take care of business against teams that they should?
Well, you know, I always say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And, you know, again, we all were babies. We all was crawling, stand up, fall down, stand up, fall down. Then eventually we start walking faster. Then we start running a little bit. Then we start running fast. Before you know it, we're running. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that's the way I look at the Cowboys offense. It was a slow start. It's a new offense. We went through our bumps and bruises. We lost a game like the Arizona Cardinals, the game that we could have won, should have won, but we have injuries at the same time. But you're starting to see the comfortability from Dak Prescott, the offensive line, how they're protecting him. The running game is getting a bit better by Tony Pollard. You were seeing the receivers not getting more activated. Hey, it's one thing to see CeeDee Lamb, but now we're seeing Cooks getting a lot of involvement, and now we're seeing Tolbert getting more involved. You're seeing Jalen Brooks getting involved, and of course Michael Gallup. So tied in with Ferguson. So what you see is the offense is growing, and not only that, there's a trust factor that Mike McCarthy is not afraid to light it up if he needs to, and put anybody in position to have a good day. So I'm loving what I'm seeing, and it's at the right time, especially where we're going at, where we want to go in January. It's the right time. So I'm feeling overly excited about it.
Yeah, and we're talking about winning these games that you should against opponents that you should go in and beat, but it's the fashion in which they're winning those games, which is impressive. Dallas is an absurd 42.3 points per game in the last 3. That's miles ahead of any other team in an entire league. And so, other teams are playing teams under 500, but are they winning that impressive? And so Dallas is on a pretty torrid pace when it comes to points per game, and they're playing complementary ball. Both phases of the team, the major phases of offense and defense, they're showing up. So just statistically, when you really start to compare them out with everyone in the league, Dallas is the number 1 scoring team in all of football. They had been hovering there in the top 4, inching up to 3, 2. Now they're number 1 at 31.5 points per game. They're able to now eclipse Miami. And then top for third is San Francisco and Philadelphia at 28 points a game. So Dallas doing what they're doing to be able to put the points on the board. That's how you win the game. But on the opposite side, the defense is doing their thing. Not only are the defense creating turnovers and putting points on the board themselves, they're actually being able to shut down teams. So our defense is 4th in all of the league in points per game with 16.8. San Francisco leading that thing at 15.5. And really the magical number is to try to hold a team under 19 points. Historically, when you see a team being able to hold them under that mark, the record is so much greater, because you see teams tend to think a team like Dallas with an offense like they have can definitely be able to get to that 20-point mark. So you got the number 1 offense, number 1 scoring team, I should say, and the number 4 defense as far as points. How much more complimentary can you get? And then the third phase of the game, which is the special teams. You know what? I don't even want to shower praise on the special teams, because I want to keep that same energy for those of you who are superstitious about the kicker. He still sucked. Let's just go on and say he still sucked. We ain't gonna really talk about his actual pace and how he's actually doing. Let's just not focus on the negatives. He's missed 3 extra points, right? We'll just keep that energy. But overall, they're playing good football at the right time when you need it. And Spoon, what you think about that boy Dak Prescott?
Oh, you mean MVP candidate Dak Prescott? You mean the Dak Prescott that Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer himself, came out and said he's the best quarterback playing this year? Not saying he's the best quarterback overall, but just playing this year. We talk about the same Dak Prescott that in the first 5 seasons, the 5 years of 5 weeks of the NFL, the turnover column was so high that now nobody's talking about, because Dak Prescott is not in the top 10 in that list. Yes, let's talk about Dak Prescott. Dom, let's be honest. This is the best situation he's ever been in his career, in my opinion. You have a head coach, an experienced head coach. A coach who understands what to do, a coach who's not only going to coach you, but teach you how to rise to that occasion and be in that level, the same level Aaron Rodgers was in my opinion. Not trying to compare the two, but we see how Aaron Rodgers progressed under Mike McCarthy and how his career started and where's it at right now. So at the end of the day, when we see Dak Prescott right now, that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing him take another level above when he started. The way he seemed like he's been on the same level under the old staff. This is something different now. He's taking over the game too. Listen, he's an MVP candidate this year, Dom and Knicks. No question about it. If you don't have him on the list, it's because you don't like the man, and that's just plain and simple. Plain and simple. But again, he's playing as the best quarterback in the league today, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just want to slide in real quick because I'm listening. I'm going through counting, doing the money and everything else. Cowboys 8-3, right? That's where we currently reside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Remember when we heard that there's going to be a regression from Dak because Kellen Moore's gone and that quarterback over there for the Chargers was going to go sky high and everything because of the coordinator he's getting and everything else? I think there's an argument to be made is the right call was made when it comes to offensive coordinator and what's going on right now. When we talk about particularly the playing of one Ray Dakota Prescott. I'll get out of here now. Y'all go right ahead, guys. But I just want to throw that out there. It doesn't get talked about much anymore. Just want to kind of bring it back about was it right, was it wrong, what's going on, this, that, and the third. Y'all see how Dak's playing right now? That's the question, Don. That's the question you asked, right? How Dak's playing right now?
Right.
And Spoonie, what you said, and talking about Mr. Aaron Rodgers was talking about a guy that's playing not arm talent or throws, but playing the quarterback position infinitely, making the calls before the play. Even talks about, hey, there was a zero blitz. He calls the tight end back in, blocks everything up, gets it to CD. The way he's playing the position, which he has intricate knowledge of doing that underneath of Mike McCarthy and having that rare perspective when it comes to that. So, again, when we're talking about Dak Prescott playing at a higher level, right? Let's remember Mike McCarthy, we talked about this a ton when he got here. He's a quarterback whisperer. This is what he does to quarterbacks. This is how he helps. And you're seeing a better Dak Prescott right now than you saw underneath Kellen Moore last year. I digress. I'll get out of the way. I just want to say that real quick. That's a great question, Dom.
Right. I mean, to really pick up on what Aaron Rodgers said, like his exact quote was, Dak's playing the position in a really impressive way. And for whatever reason, maybe it's because he's the Cowboys quarterback and it's one of the premier positions in sports, he might take a little bit more bleep than he deserves. But I love the way he's playing.
Right.
And so he was like, and he wanted to stress about just how Dak is really playing and how impressed he is with him right now. And so he was like, I just want to shout out Dak for really impressing me. So we're talking about a guy that, you know, is going to go down as one of the all-time greats. He's definitely one of the best talents to ever play the game. And Aaron Rodgers just pouring out some love for a Dak Prescott. I see what Eddie O says. Dom, remember we talked in the background after the 49ers game and said, it's time for Dak to show us.
Yes.
Dak said, gotcha. And, you know, you're right, because so many people talk about how our fan base is delusional, how we're super homers, but we gave our fair share of criticism of the Dak-led Cowboys when things just weren't clicking here in the first part of the season before the bye week, losing the two big games against San Francisco and Philadelphia, where now it's time to shine. It's time to show up against quality teams, and we have yet to see that this year out of this team. He really wanted them to be able to win those games. Yes, for playoff seeding, having that chance to get the number one seed to win a division. That's always a team's main goal. Win your division, win the NFC East. Well, based on your record right now, it's going to be hard to do that. But still, the overall goal is to get into the playoffs and then win the championship. So you still got to play quality ball against the people that are on your schedule, and Dallas has done that. So I think it's funny how some people on the negative side will still tend to say, well, what big moment has Dak had this year? Why is he even in the MVP conversation. He hasn't really had those moments and those times where he's really shined. Well, hell, it's kind of hard to do that when 7 of the games you've played, you haven't even played in the fourth quarter because your team is blowing out teams. They don't have these really close contests where you're really going to have that flash and dash type moment. But if you're really watching the games and you're seeing what Dak has been able to do within the game, between plays, on the sideline, in the prep room, those are the kind of things that Aaron Rodgers is speaking to. So some of these people who might be MVP voters or they're analysts on shows, even us, even myself, I don't know the game like Aaron Rodgers know the game. I don't know the game like former players who are also analysts who have YouTube channels like JT O'Sullivan, Chase Daniel, who keep coming out of the woodwork about how great Dak is doing this year, how he is playing MVP caliber ball. And in fact, they're saying that he is the number one quarterback at this point. You got former players who are also in the national media like Dominique Foxworthy, who has Dak as his number one quarterback right now. You got Jeff Saturday, played center for Peyton Manning, ended up getting the coach job for a brief moment last year. He was asked, who is the best quarterback right now? Is it Dak Prescott? He said, absolutely. You're starting to see the turn. You're starting to see the love given to Dak. And in fact, it just makes me think. We got the great news of him becoming a dad, girl dad. Shout out to all the girl dads out there. So we got Dad Prescott. You can call him Dak M. Prescott. You can call him Dak Prescott. Whatever you want to do, use, you put those phrases out there. But the guy is on a pace where all of the major statistical categories for quarterbacks, he's up there with the best. He's second in touchdown passes with 23, only one behind Josh Allen. He's second in completion percentage. At 70% of his passes, he's completing. That's only second to Brock Purdy, who's only beating him by 0.2. You got him number 2 in quarterback rating. You got him second in overall QBR. You got him 6th in passing yards. You can't talk about Dink and Dunk and Dink and Dak because he's 4th in yards per attempt. So he's getting it down the field. He's hitting his guys. And remember the all-important stat that everybody kept throwing out about him last year? The interceptions? Well, he's 20th in interceptions with 6. He's got Josh Allen done doubled him up with 13 leading the league, and Hurts is almost double him up with 10 interceptions. And if you want to look at overall turnovers, Hurts got 14. So he's almost tripled what Dak has. So, or it's more than double, but what else? Dak is on the pace. He's killing it. PFF is calling him the most valuable quarterback in the NFL because of WAR, wins above replacement. Whenever you look at his EPA on third downs, he's doing something that we haven't seen since 2017, leading the league easily in that category. Dak is the best quarterback right now in the league, and he's having those numbers where his receivers hadn't always done so well in their routes. They've dropped balls. In fact, Dak's got the 4th most drop passes out of a quarterback this year with 21. Him and Mahomes is up there leading this thing. So over and over and over, as you're really starting to break it down, have guys who are skilled at breaking down tape, people who have played the game, it's obvious. Dak is an elite quarterback. He's always been that. But this year, what's the word that we all tried to hone in on to begin the year? Efficiency. We wanted efficiency and we wanted consistency. And so now we need that consistency to happen whenever it's the big moments against the big teams, because that still is a criticism. You got to play big boy ball when it truly matters. But it is crazy that hell is frozen over to get some love coming Dak way from the national media.
Yeah, and you know, with the national media, and again, it's no disrespect to anybody, but my thing, you know, when you got former players who has that platform, you know, shame on you if you forgot that you played this game. Shame on you, you know, because no team in the NFL makes their schedule. This is not college, you know, whatever. You can alternate X, Y, and Z. You know, this is you're playing the schedule, and on top of that, in every division, you pretty much have the same schedule up by like maybe like one team, the difference because of the strength of schedule or how your record is in one division. Each team plays one team. That's the only one difference. But majority of the teams you play is all the same. So my thing is this: we want to, well, not we, the national media want to keep harping on Dak Prescott playing against bad teams. Well, my thing is this: why is it that we're blowing out these bad teams, the same teams that they want to claim Jalen Hurts is MVP? You're struggling with these teams. We beat the Jets when they were 1-0. You know, I want to be a little petty and get nitpick. You guys lost to the Jets. You lost to the Jets. We blew up the Rams. The Eagles came out and they kept it close with the Rams. They took them to distance. We blew out Washington. You went to overtime with Washington. You know, so, you know, the Patriots, the same thing. We could keep going back and forth. So my thing is this. When are they going to wake up and say, hey, we got to stop using that Dak's not playing the teams, because the same person we're saying MVP, he struggle against them. Now, what happens now? We go to Buffalo and we beat them. What are we going to say now? Oh, Buffalo's a better team now, right? But then again, we're not going to look back and say, oh, well, how did the other team that we're claiming they have an MVP quarterback there, how did he play against them? And again, you know, these are the things that we get upset about, and we should get upset about, because at the end of the day, we're watching the same thing. The problem is what they choose, what they want to say. And you know, Dom, everything you have said about Dak from the start, from the beginning all the way to the present time, is the truth. The man is grown before our eyes, becoming a high level quarterback. And when you got an Aaron Rodgers who can name anybody, he can name Mahomes, he can name Jalen Hurts. He said Dak Prescott. It wasn't an option with other quarterback. It was straight out of his mouth saying Dak Prescott. So, you know, these are the things that I just hope that this year, moving forward, we can stop with the debates of where Dak is. If you don't have him where he should be, you just don't like him. And that's fine. But don't put it out there as if he's not a good quarterback, he's not progressing, or he's been against bad teams. Because at the end of the day, you're supposed to blow out bad teams. Good teams blow out bad teams. Good teams don't play with their food and play down to the level of bad teams. But who are we? Who are we? You know, what do we know? You know, so I just hope that moving forward, that, hey, listen, we messed up. National media, you messed up. Y'all was harping on Dak, X, Y, and Z. Well, he's trending in the right direction. Now the same argument may need to go to those quarterbacks y'all was praising from the beginning. You know, the ones who got the $60 million contract this year, you know, X, Y, and Z. So, but overall, Dak's playing great. He's a great leader. And, you know, I just can't wait to see down the line what's in store for this team moving forward.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that you just brought to my mind is Dak is playing so efficient that it's reminding me of his rookie year, where, you know, they had to scale down on the playbook. They had to keep, you know, him from having to worry about the full field and just give him half the field to really focus on. But he was very efficient in what he did at that time. He played it safe with the ball. The one thing that you just really wish that he would do was just let it loose, maybe open up that playbook a little bit more. Now he's at this point in his career where cerebrally, mentally, he's so sharp. It's like, I've seen it all. I know what the defenses are trying to do. I know how they want to scheme against us, so he can make those adjustments like in between plays. In fact, he could get up to the line and make that adjustment at that time, which is a little bit about what Aaron Rodgers was speaking towards whenever he had his whole statement about Dak. But he's getting to that point now where in a player's career, if they're fortunate to be able to make it this long, where their health is held up and that they've actually had to perform well enough to still be able to be quarterback one for a team who's getting the chance to lead their guys. He's getting into that point where you start to see the all-time good and even all-time great start to really shine. And so I put out a tweet, I think yesterday, where I was a Colts fan growing up. I've always been a Tennessee Vols fan. I follow them and their sports. So naturally, it came together where Peyton Manning was on the Vols. I liked him when he was a college player. Then I liked him when he went to the pros because I follow the Colts as well. But I saw how, he was praised as one of the best quarterbacks to ever come out of the draft since John Elway. But then when he had his earlier struggles with all the interceptions the first year, then he couldn't get over the Patriots hump. A lot of people started to question him. Then his brother goes out and gets a Super Bowl victory. I think at the age of what was Eli, like 27 years old when he won that first Super Bowl. So you start to see a lot of doubters. Well, he's putting up all of these numbers. He's actually had some help. The Colts had the number one defense in one of those years. In a couple of those years, they were actually getting after the quarterback with sacks and causing some turnovers. But then it seemed like when Peyton hit year 30, when he turned 31, things just started to unlock for him where he was always smart, very mentally sharp, but now he's been able to see everything that was before him. I remember there was a quote when he was playing with Denver. He remembered a blitz that he hadn't seen against him since he was in his 20s.
Right.
And this was when he was 37.
Yeah.
And so he made that known to his team, like, hey, I haven't seen this, but this is exactly what they did to me. Dak is trying to enter into that realm where the Drew Breeses really performed well in his 30s. Matt Stafford got his Super Bowl in the right spot with the right group of talent around him in his 30s, so that Peyton Manning win both of his Super Bowls in his 30s. So Dak is getting to that part where cerebrally, you can't tell that dude nothing because he's got it. He's like a coach on the field. And when you mesh him with Mike McCarthy and what he's cooking up for Dallas, man, it's a match made in heaven right now. But again, to be fair, to be balanced, we know that this team still has a ways to go because there are some areas where they need to continue to improve, and they do have to show up when it matters because in the playoffs, chances are, unless the green team just have a catastrophic, collapse, they're going to win the division. They're going to get the number one seed. Dallas seems like they're going to be pretty much locked in as a wild card. So that means we're going to have to go on the road that very first week. That means the second week, we're likely going to have to go on the road again. So we're going to have to be road warriors in the playoffs. And we know that defense travels well, run game travels well. So we have to get a couple of those things fixed and then making sure our run defense steps up. But the next topic I really wanted us to jump in on was Micah Parsons is headlining the defense, but that boy Bland is still in the show. History was made on Thanksgiving by Deron Bland. So, Spoonie, go ahead and let the people know, what were you able to see out of a young Deron Bland who was a fifth-round pick just a year ago, wasn't even invited to the combine, but somehow, some way, Dallas, they saw the talent that he was while he was in college. They took him in that fifth round. Last year, the kid hauled in 5 interceptions, and he done bested that with 7 already, but he broke a record. What was that record, Spoonie?
He broke 5 pick six for touchdowns. I mean, I forgot where I got this from, but somebody came out and said that that's 5 picks for touchdown. 5 pick six for touchdown is equivalent to 20 sacks in a year. I got to find out what I got that from. It was one of the analysts. I was like, interesting. I mean, because the last sack record was Michael Strahan. He broke the sack record. That was years back. That's a big thing. He won defensive player that year. So pick 6, 5 of them. It's not easy. It's not easy. And I say this: hats off to the scouting department and the front office because they did a great job. It's not easy. It's not easy. To be a scout, to be able to recognize talent all the time. Sometimes you're gonna get your good things, you're gonna get your bad ones. You hit or miss. When Diggs went down, of course we all panicked. We got Deron Bland going from the nickel down to the outside corner, but my God, this guy here it's like we haven't missed anything. He's having an incredible year. we didn't want to get so far ahead, but I'll say this: I just can't wait for Diggs to come back, and I don't know what they're gonna do with Gilmore's contract, but I would love the way Bland's playing right now. I would love to see Diggs and Gilmore, just on the field, all three together, because Bland just killing it right now. And if he's not in your defensive player of the year conversation, shame on you. It's not easy to get pick six for touchdown. Hell, the greatest corners of all time we could talk about didn't do that at all. So when you get a guy like Deron Bland, you hear a 5th round pick, again, like Dom just said, was not invited to the NFL Combine and whatnot. What you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. 1 second, we have a little bit of technical difficulties. 1 second. All right. 1 second, y'all.
There we go. There we go.
You
Man,
good.
you were on fire. You were stealing some of my points. You were already talking about some things with the Deron Bland record. My computer was like, let Spoonie cook.
No, but you know what, Dom? It's again, this is why we have to appreciate scouts. Listen, Dom and Mendoza, they always feeding us with some information about the draft coming up all the time with a lot of these guys. And, it's a blessing because, for myself, I know myself, I get to learn X, Y, and Z about these players before they come out. And sometimes now I want to even dig deeper, even deeper than I ever did before. And see, these are the things with the Dallas Cowboys, what they do all year round. This is why they don't hit the big free agency mark, because they trust how to draft. Now, again, you're going to have hit and misses, but my God, anytime you're getting guys in the lower rounds that are able to perform in a high level, like they should have been first-round picks, you got to give yourself a pat in the back. It's easy to go out in a trade market and get players that are established already, who have proved their work already. It's easy to do that. It's not easy to go out there and find these gems. And at the end of the day, when it boils down to a Cowboy Nation, you gotta feel comfortable and feel good moving forward with this organization and how they get these plays. Because again, what that does for you, you don't have to go out there and spend excess money. You don't gotta overpay. You trust your draft. And if a guy leaves, it may not force you to say, hey, I gotta sign this guy because we're desperate. No, I have a guy in the wings waiting, X, Y, and Z. I'll go get that comp pick. So again, Deron Bland, hats off. He is Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. I love Micah Parsons. Don't get me wrong. Micah is the guy. But Deron Bland, in my opinion, is having a career year. And that's another level. I respect the Myles Garrett. I respect the TJ Watt. But Deron Bland should be number one.
Yeah. Like I said, Micah, he's the headliner. But that boy Bland is truly still in the show. So you definitely got to give those hats off to Al Harris,
Yes.
DB coach. I don't know if he'll ever turn into what you would consider a head coaching candidate, but he's going to work his way up in the league because of what he's been able to do with the Cowboys to be able to help turn that unit around, because just a few years ago, we were a historically worse defense for our franchise's history. So you got to also give your hats off to Dan Quinn, being able to scheme things up, put guys in the right position to also help them in the war room while being able to truly understand to expand their profile with players that they can find in the draft to be able to help the defensive side out. And then overall, I know we always say Will McClay, but you also have a multitude of scouts who are over their specific areas and regions, and assistant scouts. They're out there doing the thing to be able to find gems like a Deron Bland. So for them to be able to be there, to put their eyes on them, to ask those collegiate coaches how they really are, what they are like even off the field, what kind of work do they really put into the thing. They're the ones that feed that information to McClay, to the coaches, where they come together and make those choices on draft day. So, we've hit up steamrolling the Commanders. We didn't really have to say too much about that game. It is what it is. Our guys showed up. They handled their business. Then Dak Prescott, Dak M. Prescott, Dak Progress Scott, whatever you want to call him. He's doing this thing. Deron Bland setting records, only 11 games through, doing what he's done. 12 interceptions in 2 years. Man, it's just wild. And so you only just want to be able to see him finally bring that together with Trayvon Diggs whenever he returns next year to the team. But the next topic I really wanted us to start to discuss was
real quick, as I'm on my way home. To put in perspective what Deron Bland has done, Deion Sanders has 9. Give the pause for a second. He has 9 pick sixes in his entire career. Okay. The record for most INT pick sixes is Rod Woodson with 14. He has 5 this season. Just to kind of put in historical factors and just kind of looking at the best of the best ever within this league and what's happening in real time right now. And, we talk about guys being, ball magnets, right? Like Ed Reed was one of those guys, right? The ball just kind of found its way to him. Deron Bland is snatching stuff. I want to be clear. Like, yes, the very first week one, the hit, the ball bounces up from Saquon. He ends up when he gets a walking touchdown, right? But outside of that one, you kind of look at his interceptions. He's snatching things, not overthrown ball. I was way off, or batted pass in the air. I grabbed it. Like, he is snatching things. So just kind of put that in perspective a little bit of historically, obviously, where the return, pick sixes kind of rank throughout the history of the NFL, and to kind of understand what's happening right now with Deron Bland, who actually broke a ex-Eagles record on Thanksgiving Day game against Washington. It gets no sweeter.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because, Rod Woodson played, 16, 17 years in the league to be able to get that record. And then Deion, too.
He came back, with the Ravens. He had a pick six. His first 2 games had a pick six, number 37. So that's big. BJ, that rate, it's funny. I'm surprised that nobody else in the media had brought that up as far as Deion and Rod Woodson. When we're talking about what they ended their careers at compared to what Bland is just doing right now in one season, that's amazing right there. And it's not saying that Bland is Deion or Rod Woodson, but it's just that the numbers. We always have to say that because people are gonna be like, well, you compare. No, we're not comparing the two, but just acknowledging the numbers.
Right.
That's the main thing. We're acknowledging the numbers there.
Just put it in perspective. Yeah, just put it in perspective of where it's at, and what he's doing versus the history of the league and why it's insane kind of stat to kind of look at. And maybe his best return, right? Out of all the pick sixes, I didn't think he was going to get there. And we got to see a little wiggle, if you will, and he got in the end zone when it comes to that. It's special. And again, it goes back to the time when Diggs got hurt. And I said it here, on the show, and I said it in the spaces as well. The Cowboys even had an opportunity to be special when we talk about Legion of Boom, stuff like that. The Diggs injury didn't preclude them, as I said. They'll still be a very good defense, top 5 defense in this league. But boy, what Bland is doing, and people not wanting to test Gilmore, even within me talking about that and being in that realm, I didn't see it this way, right? I didn't see him doing the things that he is doing, which gets you really excited about that process of, look, we had the Tyler. Dom, how often and how long did we talk about Tyler Smith, the guard tackle, during the offseason? How many hours did we spend on that, Dom?
Man, that was the hot topic when it came to offensive line. So
guess what? Look at right now, this offseason, is Bland a slot or an outside corner? That'll be the hot topic for Cowboys Nation. We're going to talk ad nauseum during the offseason.
Yeah, that boy needs to be on the outside.
So are we saying ahead of time right now, maybe no for Gilmore, or?
No, I mean, if you turn outside guys, then it can't be Gilmore then. Yeah. I mean, Gilmore comes back, right, and you're thinking Bland's going back to the slot, whatever the case may be. But again, we got time to wait on that to have that conversation. Just wanted to bring it up.
Right. All right. Yeah, so hats off to Deron Bland. You're doing your thing, man. You deserve all the praise, the showering of love, because you are a legit Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And then with the fact that, I hate even bringing it up this way, but Myles Garrett with his injuries that have popped up, him potentially missing time, that hurts a player's chances because we know that people have lost MVP awards and other types of acknowledgments because of missed time on the field. So that is what it is. But currently, it seems like if he gets another, maybe just 2 interceptions without a pick six involved, but if he definitely got a pick six, you can almost put a wrap on it, tie that thing up, put a nice little bow around it, because that's got to be Defensive Player of the Year. And then thinking about him solidifying himself as an All-Pro. So that's going to help him in his pocketbooks, which we always tend to want players to be able to get their money, get the bag. It's going to help him later down the road in his career when it's time for him to start seeking the money. So hats off to Deron Bland. You're doing your thing, man. Continue to do it. Next topic 3 for tonight. We got to talk about the Seahawks because that's why we're here prepping for that game as the Cowboys play on Thursday night, tomorrow night against the Seahawks. Seahawks started out, man, pretty fast. They were a hot team, but here in the last 3 to 4 games, it's been a big struggle for them. November has not been nice to the Seattle Seahawks. And in fact, their quarterback, Geno Smith, 2 games ago, he got hurt, had to exit the game, hurt his shoulder, ended up coming back in the game and finishing it. But in those last 2 games, he has not performed well. Overall, the offense hasn't looked good. Their offensive line has started to slow down and allow some sacks and some pressures on him. Because coming into the season, especially early in the year, they look like the best line in all of football. They did a great job of hitting in the last 2 to 3 drafts. They've been able to remake that offensive line. So they're giving him nice protection. But here, as of late, things are starting to slow down for that team. So that whole chink in the armor or a little bit of things clogging, that offense is definitely impacting them right now. So overall, whenever I look at this game against Seattle, how they've been performing, how the Cowboys have been performing, I really want to kind of just talk about what are some of our keys to victory. So, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to be able to break down Seattle at all or just see like how well they're doing for the year. For you, just focusing in on what Dallas needs to continue to do. Spoonie, what do you think is one of the major keys to success against a Seattle team that is reeling? However, they know that this is a must-win situation for them if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive, because you got the Rams who are coming back into the fold. In fact, if Dallas wins against Seattle and then the Chiefs pull out their game, and then a couple of other things happen just this week, next week, you're going to see a Rams team who's got that 7th seed. So Seattle really don't want to see that happen. They're going to come out fighting for their lives. They want to be able to reach the playoffs because that's a goal of every team. So what do you think is going to be one of the major keys to success against the Seattle Seahawks?
You're going to have to really get to Geno, defensively get to Geno and cover the receivers very well. That's the key for me. That's the strongest unit on this team. Kenneth Walker Jr., he's a very good running back. He may miss this game. So you're going to have Charbonnet come in, who, during last year's draft conversation, we all have him in our list. He's a tough runner. But he's not Kenneth Walker. He's still a rookie, but the guy's a bruiser. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to really cover these receivers. We talk about DK Metcalf. We're talking about Lockett. We're talking about and Jigba. And then Jigba plays in a slot, which is Jordan Lewis. That might be going to be his assignment. And that's going to be a matchup where it's scary. Jay Lou has not – he's been okay. Deron Bland is having a great year on the outside. His assignment is going to be between DK Metcalf and Lockett or whoever lines up in front of him. But that slot with Jay Lou, that's going to be a battle. And that's going to be something where we're going to have to cover very, very, very well, because if we let these receivers get the edge and get that momentum, this game could go in a different way where we don't want that to happen. This team is a talented team. It got parts. The problem is right now they're struggling offensively big between Geno's protection, not getting protected to deliver the football to his great receiving cast. And that's the issue right now. So with Dallas, we're going to have to just dial it up, get to Geno, get to him, put him down. Occasionally, he holds on to the ball a little bit too long. Got to put him down. We got to take advantage of every snap of getting to him. So that way we don't have problems with our DBs and with their receivers.
Yeah, and whenever I was listening to a couple of press conferences for Seattle this week, it was interesting to note that Pete Carroll basically talked to what you just said. He said that, one of the ways that they're going to be successful against Dallas is that the quarterback, it's all about him reading more quickly and getting the ball out more readily. He went on to say, so we can avoid their pass rush. Of all the things in particular like this week, he went on to say, we need to get the ball out. The ball has to get out of his hands so that we don't give the rusher a chance. If there's anything in particular, that's what I'm hoping Geno can find his keys, his reads, and get the ball out ahead of the rush. So he reiterated that thing 4 times right there, getting the ball out quickly. And we know that overall, that's what teams have been trying to do to the Cowboys to begin with, because they know that our front four is a good front four. They know that we can get pressures. We got Micah doing his thing, and he's rushing from 5-6 different spots. But then you got Fowler, who's come on strong. In fact, you kind of want to see him get more snaps because he's able to get the pressures and get to the quarterback. Sam Williams has had flashes of brilliance this season. Everybody wants to trade Dorrance Armstrong, but he just continues to be a very good pickup himself, a nice piece that is a good rotational player, and he's also providing you good abilities on special teams. So overall, our edge guys, they're doing their thing. Even the interior, last game, Jonathan Hankins getting a couple of sacks against the Commanders. You love to see that. Osa has been doing his thing ever since he hit the league for the Cowboys. So they know in order for them to do well, they have to protect long enough to get the ball out of Geno's hands for him to make quick decisions. So on the flip side of that, if we can just get him to hold the ball just a tick longer with our DBs doing their job, then that helps that pass rush being able to get to Geno, which has caused a lot of confusion and chaos for that offense. So the last 4 games actually, they're averaging giving up 4 sacks a game, and they're not playing as good a defenses as they're going to see against the Cowboys. So that is a major key to the Cowboys' success against the Seahawks, is for that front four to be able to apply the pressure against Geno. And plus, again, he's dinged up. So you kind of smell blood in the water. This might be one of those things where we do a over and under. Micah Parsons, does he get over 1.5 sacks this game? So in the chat, y'all go ahead and drop your prediction. Will Micah get the 2 sacks in this game? Also, you got to think, because they're fighting for their playoff hopes, I don't know if Dallas is going to be able to blow them out to where starters are sitting early in the 4th, but it might pull away where maybe the last series or 2 if we're feeling really confident in our score predictions later. But what do you think? You think Spoonie Micah's going to be able to capture over 1.5 sacks?
You know what? Because I'm going to say under. I always like, my favorite word is intangibles. Some things you do that it doesn't come out of stat sheet. So you have to look at what Micah does. Micah gets all the attention on that line. Because he gets all the attention on the line, I have his other teammate, who I really, really think is going to go out there and get not 1 sack, not 2, maybe 3. And I'm talking about Sam Williams.
Ooh, okay.
Sam Williams has been coming up stronger ever since that special team, when he was the gunner. He's out there. You're seeing he's getting more comfortable. The snap count, I believe he had more than Armstrong the last game. I believe he did. So I think this will continue. Sam Williams is finally coming onto his own. People want to call him and Micah twins, how with their facial. No, they're gonna be twins on how they're gonna make offensive have to give them that much attention. I think Sam's gonna come out there with 3 sacks tomorrow night.
Yeah. Next.
Yeah, I mean, allow me to evolve into Professor O for a second and give y'all some numbers here. All right. Geno Smith, average time ball in hand to throw the rock, 2.9 seconds. 2.9. Hence why, as Dom is talking about, Carol talking about see it, rip it, get it out of there, because 2.9 is going to get you killed against the Cowboys. That's just what it is. Now, granted, they have been without the right tackle. They are getting him back this week. But where is he at? How does that look? Right? It's kind of where it is. And Howard Cross, not really grading out well. A former high pick, Mississippi State, right? The whole nine. I think he's at all left tackles. I think he's around 15th or 16th right now in pass grade. So there's something to be had there within that stretch. Odigizua, by the way, let me throw it out there. As you're talking about these guys getting to the pressure. Right now, I believe PFF has him number 1 with pass rushes with double team. And Michael Parsons is number 2. Think about that for a second. Now, some of that's probably the Parsons effect, but double teamed Odigizua number 1 in pass rush rate. But yeah, 2.9 seconds is an issue. Now, obviously, the rookie running back can catch the ball, do some things. But, here's the other side here, because I think ultimately we're very much familiar with Seattle for the Legion of Boom, right? They got beast mode, right? They're ground and pound. Well, they went and scooped the guy off the, the Sean McVay tree for the offensive coordinator. They throw the ball way more now than they run the ball. So it's a little bit different attack offensively from Seattle than what we normally do see against them. But I do caution, we saw it against Carolina. We saw it against Washington. Even Washington, who's been very pass happy in this league, even them early in the game tried to get to the run game a little bit more. They tried to control the clock a little bit more, different things that were happening in that realm. But again, 2.9 seconds, man, that's an eternity in the pocket, right? It just is. So, that's why you're hearing Carol talking about getting it out and doing different things. What would they have developed within that scheme, right, to get the ball out a little bit quicker? So this could be with Charbonnet there. They might get to the screen game early here, guys. They might get to the screen game early here to take to kind of try to take advantage of the aggressiveness of what's going on. And this guy can catch the ball in space and do things for sure. I'm interested in that. But here's the thing, though. They still play that cover 3 on defense, Dom. They still play that cover 3. And they got players over there, right? Like, be clear, they got players over there. Okay? Boy, this smells like a Ferguson game to me. This might be one of those 9 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. In the way that they play defense, this could be a huge Ferguson game, in my opinion. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I'm going to ride this as well. I'm with you. And I said this with my guy Orlando on PSF last night when we were doing the preview. This team understands their season unequivocally, and there's games to be played. It's not on the line. Oh, this is huge. This is the biggest game for them this year right now. Right now, it's the biggest game for them. Like, they need a win in the worst possible way. They really, really do. So they should be ready to, whether it's fake punts, gadget plays, they need to be ready to enter the clip because they need this win in a really bad. If they lose this game, the tiebreakers and everything else kind of break down of what's going on, it might be a wrap for them. So I think we're definitely going to get their best punch tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because they're fighting for their season. The season is on the line tomorrow night. And so that's a great point to pull out all the stops, find every little thing that you got and just exhaust it in this game. And then you hope to turn the momentum. And then you think that if you can keep your quarterback upright, get him a little bit more healthy, maybe you can get that thing turned back around. The other thing is talking about Professor O. One of the keys to the Dallas victory is for Dak to continue to be Dak along with McCarthy in the way that they're running these things. So shout out to John Owning, who's a friend of all of Cowboys Nation, for the great content that he put out. But I saw a message that he sent where he was talking about how the Cowboys against Washington used 76% of the time a shift or a motion on their offensive snaps, which was a season high for them. So I would like to see that continue. Like we've been mentioning that week after week, whenever they weren't doing so well before they went into the bye, but ever since they've used a lot of motion, and then you have Dak being able to challenge teams more in that intermediate. And then even last week, you saw him play it out a few more times to like CD and everything. The connection just wasn't quite right at the time, but you want to see them take more chances down the field, stretch that thing out, and continue to use those bunch formations because it's definitely been working. And then, Spoonie, you kind of already alluded to it before, but you mentioned, keeping Pollard fueled. Pollard had a nice flip these last couple of weeks, and we're starting to see him become that well-oiled machine that we need out of him. He still doesn't need the massive amount of snaps or carries. We talked about it preseason, how you hope maybe about 12 to 14 carries at the most, maybe about 3 or 4 catches. So take some of the pressure off of him. But, man, he's starting to do extremely well these last couple of weeks. And, in fact, I forgot who put this out, but they mentioned how, and in their message to Cowboys Nation, Tony Pollard, the first 9 weeks of the season, he only forced 8 missed tackles. That is not the Tony Pollard that we had seen under his entire rookie contract. But this Tony Pollard now post-injury, working under this franchise tag, he hadn't been as flash, he hadn't been as dash, he hadn't had that contact balance that we were used to, where he's pinballing off guys. But last week, in the last 3 weeks alone, he's forced 15 missed tackles. So in 3 weeks compared to the other 8 games, it's been totally different for Tony Pollard. So you really want to see him get going because, like I said earlier, you're going to need that run game to at least be able to balance some things out for that offensive passing attack. So if you keep getting those things going, it's only going to help them later down the road. Everybody talks about we're not playing winning teams. Well, who cares? You got to do what you need to do to continue to progress from week to week against those that are put on your plate. You got to finish that food, and Dallas has done a great job of finishing the food. So hopefully they can do the same thing with the Seattle Seahawks. Y'all have any last words about the Seattle game and the Cowboys?
I mean, I look at me.
Shout out to Blasco, right? The running game coordinator being back in the building, and Nancy's been back in the building. We're seeing the running game get to where it needs to be, right? So I think there's some of that for sure. Seattle's going to give us our best shot. They have players, both sides of the ball. They got players, the Wagners of the world, Tulins of the world, just up and down, right? DK Metcalf. They got players. I think the Cowboys will win this game. And I think it's look, maybe not quite in the blowout fashion that we want to see. Because we've become accustomed to, I guess, if you will. I got a 31-20 Dallas, 31-20 Cowboys.
That's a big score, man. That's a big one.
Cowboys are favored by 9. I do think they cover. They cover.
I was about to say, you got the Cowboys covering.
Yeah, they got them by 9. I think this is a game where it's maybe 24-20, with like 9 minutes in the fourth quarter. The Cowboys go one of those non-sold 6-7 minute drives, get a touchdown and put it away.
You know what, Spoon? I'm gonna let you be the last to give your prediction because what's funny, I had 34-20. 34-20.
No, we're close.
Just tends to
me and you are right there. Go ahead.
So yeah, that's what I got for the Cowboys. Putting up some touchdowns, getting 4 touchdowns, a couple of field goals going down for them. But this just seems to be one of those games where they should be able to handle this. Of course, teams are going to fight hard, but eventually Dallas just tends to pull away. And then this is in the moment, this is going to be one of those games where once again Dak is solidifying himself as one of the top quarterbacks. But I think the defense is able to show up in ways that we hadn't been able to see the defense show up because of some unsung heroes like your Sam Williams. We were on the same. We were on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Spoon.
Well,
Draymond,
here's my
take a
thing, though. I got 35-17 Dallas. 35-17. 35-17. But we will have a defensive touchdown. We will have one defensive touchdown this game. Again, this
Can I
is
get a big man. A big man.
Listen, I love when the big. You know what I like about the big man touchdown? You're running. You know, automatically he's over the small guys. They go, pass back the ball. No. You got to block. You're running. You're tumbling. You boss on the floor.
Tumbling, fumbling.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We need one of those. Maybe Hankins pick up a fumble or something like that, running back with him and Mozzie, just blocking for him. That'll be awesome. That'll be a highlight. That'll be a gift right there. But I really do think this. I think this team is going to bring that momentum from Thanksgiving onto this game. They understand what this team's about. They're going to treat this game like a playoff game. You're in and you're out. And the Cowboys, the same way Seattle knows their situation, the Cowboys understand that too. You will be feared coming to Dallas. Protect this house. And 35-17, I believe, is going to be the score. I believe Deron Bland will still be part of a conversation of Defensive Player of the Year. And he's going to force everybody to say, you know what, I'm sorry. Put him number one. It's our fault we didn't know his name. Now we do. Put him number one.
Well, Spoon,
And look, and to your point, right? I mean, in this home game winning streak goes further than last year. But let's keep it to just 23, right? Let's just keep it to 23, right? And very simply this: the Cowboys are undefeated at home, and they have yet to trail at home 1 second this season.
Not a single second.
It just is what it is. So we can talk about home field advantage, what matters, and everything else. Mike McCarthy effect. It matters, and you're seeing the proof in the pudding, and that's just what it is. So, I'm glad this game is at home, and not only do we get this one at home, then we peek over, the following Sunday, 13 days later, then we get Philly at home, and kind of get into the meat of the schedule, if you will. But again, at a certain point, you have to buy into what's going on when it's happening at home, and the Cowboys ultimately at home have been very, very damn good. And they've yet to trail. I mean, forget being very damn good. You have yet to trail 1 second at home. Hey, I don't care who you're playing. I don't care. Those things matter, and how you're taking care of business. No ifs or buts about it.
Yeah, and I want to know from everybody listening in, what would they prefer the Cowboys to do at the coin toss if they win it? Do you want them to receive the ball first so they can be able to have that chance to get out, put some points on the board, and really get after it with that defense? Or would you rather just start out so you can get the ball in the second half?
Man, as an old school Madden player forever, I'm always deferring.
Right.
I just am. I'm always the defer guy, but I'm not mad at it either way. I mean, look, right? We saw the Cowboys hit the ball against the Jets. They had 17 straight games. They didn't give up a touchdown on opening drive. They go down there and get that. Obviously, against Washington, we saw what happened there. So yeah, I mean, look, I trust the ties that bond, for sure. But the old school Madden player in me is always going to be like win the toss and defer. I want the opportunity to double dip. Shout out to Lisa real quick. Says new here, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to the channel. Make sure you hit the sub and of course hit the like. Appreciate you coming through for sure. But yeah. I'm always win the toss and defer. That's where I'm at.
I'm the same. What you want is. We all know that the Seattle Seahawks has issues with the offense, and sometimes that's how you want to start as the opposing team. You want to start off by basically going into their weakness, exploiting it even more, and bring their momentum down. But it's like, I'm tired of X and Y. You want that. So this Cowboys defense right here at home, I'd rather them start off the game. We get the ball at the half, like DJ said, hopefully double dip, and go from there.
Right.
Got it. And we can't leave this thing without talking about a couple of other topics. The last two that I got for us, Darius Leonard, now known as Shaq Leonard, Shaq Darius Leonard. So we got the news that, he was going to make his visit to Dallas. All the Cowboys Nation is like, you got to lock him in. get that contract signed. Don't let him leave the building, because we knew that if he left the building, he was going to go see Howie Roseman and those filthy Eagles. But he left the building.
Right.
Then he went over to Philly. But he left their building too today without a contract. So news broke that, he really wants to use this weekend to be able to make a decision on where he wants to be. Really, being honest, I mean, we can be haters all we want, but these are the two best teams in the NFC, Dallas and Philly, two of the best. You got to throw San Francisco right there in with them. Detroit, whenever they're hot, they're good. So he's picking two of the best from two of the best. And for him, it's going to be a great decision no matter what. But as a Cowboys fan and a guy who used to still follow the Colts for the most part, I know Leonard quite well. And he's not what he once was, but he still has enough to be able to help you, especially in a depth situation where everybody is starving for depth at linebacker. We talked about at the beginning of the year that even in the starting core, you had some holes in the NFC East. So whichever team gets him is going to have an advantage because you're able to put a player of his caliber with his mentality and also with his sharpness to be able to be at it. He's a great player. And so he's got great length. He still can move forward quite well, flipping the hips, going back, not so much, but he still has enough to be able to go sideline to sideline at least to get to tackles. So if you're able to add him into the fold this upcoming week after he makes his decision, it's great. But if he doesn't decide to come to Dallas, you still can rock with Marquise Bell. He's been tremendous for the Cowboys. They've been able to piece it together with guys who have good speed, and your defensive line is doing so well to be able to help protect them. So be nice to get him. But what are y'all thoughts about Darius Leonard?
Spoon, you want to go or you want me to go?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I think very simply, in Darius Leonard's career, this will be the most time he's going to be coveted, right? Because no matter where he lands, it's going to be for the rest of this year, and then it's off to free agency, wasteland, or whatever. So, for the first time in his career, he gets the opportunity to pick and choose his path.
Right.
So I'm not surprised by this. And we had a space and talked about it. And like he was, to me, it was always he was going to visit multiple teams and then take his time, let things play out, and make a decision. And he shouldn't revel in it. You've earned that right in what you've done in this league. Injuries be damned for a second. But right now is where you're going to get the love and get that courted treatment, that recruitment, right? When you're going to college, you're getting that recruitment treatment. So I'm not mad at it. And look, his representation, their job is to get him the best deal. Period. Well, why wouldn't I go to Philly and Dallas right now and make sure I get him the best deal? Now, the Cowboys have more money to spend. We know how that can land, though. But they have more money to spend. I think it's $6 million versus $2 million. It's about us in Philly. But no, doing due diligence in the right way, representing their client the right way. And again, he'll be more coveted right now than he will be in the offseason. Right. Those are just the facts. So, look, ego matters, and you put time in this league, and the NFL stands for not for long. This gentleman, with the injuries and everything, is, 31 now. And he gets the opportunity to really get that recruitment. So, yeah, nothing outside of this makes me feel different, or the Cowboys going to get him, or whatever the case may be. I was able to talk to some people close to the situation, and the meetings went well. There's a good rapport there. The medicals seem to be very well for the rest of the season and what they did. So it wasn't a bad meeting. This wasn't a situation where Shaq Leonard came in here and, it just didn't land. That's not what happened. Everything went well. But I think everybody, including the Eagles, understood he was going to take both the meetings and not give you a response until after the weekend. I think all the parties endured that, know that. And, to speak to the Cowboys, they said, don't let him leave. Yes, I'm right there with you. Don't let him leave. However, it takes two parties to sign a contract. He was always going to take both visits, look at it, and, the money be damned for a second. The one thing to me that for me, and I talked about it last time on PSF, that trickles into my mind, whether it matters or not. Shaq's entire career has been with who? The Colts, right?
Yep.
What is their home playing surface?
Turf,
right? Okay.
The Cowboys currently have a linebacker
with not similar but same, right? The right department back, right?
and he's played
Primarily here on turf. The one thing that nobody's talked about, I'm like, here's the thing: the Eagles play on natural grass and the Cowboys play on turf. How much in his head will that matter to him with the injuries that he's been through when it comes to the final decision? Is the one thing that I look at.
Yeah.
Also, that
We're in the realms. It is what it is. We gave our pitch, they gave their pitch, and then we'll see come Monday.
What was that?
For me,
Go ahead, Spoon.
no, I was gonna say for me, what I get out of it, I was reading, I was researching, and the one thing that caught me was how impressive the Dallas Cowboys was with his character. Anybody can come in the room and be a nice guy, but for whatever he was asked and how he was talking, X, Y, and Z, they was very impressed with him. And when don't get me wrong, I'm the same BJ where, and I know you too, Dom, where he's in the building, don't let him leave. But the one thing I respect about him was that it came out from reports that Sirianni called him last week so many times. Now Sirianni was with the Colts as a position coach before he came to the Eagles. So I don't know who was first or not, but his business was to let me go out to all the meetings that I promised first, and me and my family will go there and make a decision. And I respect that. I really do respect that. Because at the end of the day, he went to Philly, he did his thing. Now he's back home for what's being reported. Now, to the juicy stuff. To the juicy stuff.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. Brian Boldinger, Baldy, the guy who comes out with his NFL 22, with his, scouts on certain games. The player who played for the Dallas Cowboys, he played for the Colts, and he played for the Eagles. Ain't that something? The coach released Shaq is visiting the Cowboys and the Eagles. Wow, how this thing works. But he said something on G-Bag Nation, and I would like to play over here right now.
Brian Baldinger, honest NFL insider with us. We saw the Shaq Leonard up there today. He's thinking about it. Are you hearing anything from your sources on which way he's leaning?
I hear he's leaning towards the Cowboys. I know players on the Eagles that are heavily trying to recruit him. They all sacked Cunningham last week. They've been losing linebackers all year. I hear he's favoring the Cowboys at this point. I know he's a little measured about this thing. Wants to make the right decision. I know this: whoever gets him, they're going to be a better team. He's a great teammate. He's a very instinctive, talented player. He's coming back from major injuries, so I don't know exactly where he's at. He's been playing, but I think he can improve both rosters right now, especially with what the news about Leighton is. And I think the Cowboys like what they're doing right now with Marquise Bell, but I think when you go against some bigger teams, some teams that are a little bit more powerful, you might want to have that option of playing two linebackers.
It's Brian Baldinger, Odyssey NFL Insight.
Sorry about that. So that was today. Okay, now again, this is not saying it's for sure going to happen, that the Cowboys are going to sign on. We don't know. But anytime we get valuable information from somebody who's within that circle, I take it. I takes it all, especially where it benefits the Dallas Cowboys. So, again, we just heard from the man himself say whatever team he picks, he makes that team better. On top of that as well, let's talk about how familiar he would be on the Dallas Cowboys. I love how they point out as far as the playing grass, X, Y, and Z. How about this? His teammates, former teammates, talking about Malik Hooker, talking about Stephon Gilmore. And Stephon Gilmore, who he's very close with. The scheme. Well, Gus Bradley from the Colts as the defense is Dan Quinn. They both type of similar, of course, different languages, but they coach together at Seattle. So there's something there with as far as, hey, tell me about your guy. Oh, he's this and that and the third. And on top of that, you got teammates here. And on top of that, him and Michael Parsons are very close. You can see Mike had his jersey right behind him during this podcast the other day. I think it was yesterday. So all the right arrows points to Dallas, which is positive right now. It's not saying for sure, but it does feel right. He said over the weekend he would decide. in my opinion, I would love to see him at the suite with Jerry Jones, watching the Cowboys play Seattle, and for me, that would put a stamp on it. But again, we get this guy here. Listen, I know, it's going to be a little bit of snaps taken away from certain players. At the end of the day, I think this will help his defense totally, because we're going to have some solid depth, a nice rotation, and it keeps everybody fresh and healthier at the moment. So if we get Shaq Leonard, I'm going to be one of those Cowboys fans excited. Listen, 80% Shaq Leonard, I'll take all day, any day.
Let me ask you a question.
If the difference is signing him for the rest of this season and next year, are you in or are you out?
You know what?
I got my answer. It ain't that hard for me.
Okay,
I'm in. I know we got Overshown come. I want to say this. I'm in because of this. I remember a long time ago, BJ told me this. He said, in this league, you got to win down the middle, right? In this league, you always want to have that voice, that voice in each position. We know with the guy with Michael Parsons, with Gaylord, that leadership right there. Secondary, Gilmore's been doing it. That's the leader right there. That linebacker position, that's the type of voice we need from Shaq Leonard. We don't have that with LBE right now, being out for the year. We don't know what his career moving forward is. But that's the thing about it. You're going to have a voice in every position, a leader. And so my answer is yes. Even if Overshown hopefully comes back healthy, and sometimes it takes another year for the guy to get over his injuries, I still rather have that depth. A whole offseason with Shaq Leonard and whatever they have in there, I'm all for it.
So a season in 5 games, you're good. So, Dom, you good? 5 games this year in the season? Okay.
Say less.
Say less.
Sign him up. Say less.
Dom is
Sign him
waiting.
up.
That's it.
Dom, you said it in a second, but that was the Leonard point. You said you had a second point. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, you just gotta. It's the here and now.
Right.
At some point, you got to worry about this year and your chances this year, and your team that you have this year is one that is poised to be able to make a nice playoff run. Dallas are true contenders. It doesn't matter about the 0-2 record against the winning teams. San Francisco, who cares about that? That ain't what's going to help you eventually when you have to play playoff ball. But having a player of his caliber who could be able to be in that room to help you in so many different ways, including the performance that he could potentially give you on the field, that's what really matters the most. So for me, anything that you can do to be able to help this current team, plus I don't think it's going to have to be some astronomical number that you're going to have to give to him anyway. Go on and sign it up. Ink him to a multi-year deal if you need to. It's what we've been able to do with some vets in the past anyway.
I ain't mad at it.
I just want to throw it out there and see where y'all landed at. Dom, you said another point, then we'll get to the Spoonie sermon.
Yeah, the last one is Dane Brugler dropped his mock 1.0. And if you ever follow any respected couch scouts, draft nicks, media scouts, Dane is one of the main ones, and often their very first mock and their very last mock are the two most important. And so he came out with his today. Dallas has the 26th pick because of the record, so they're picking in a 26th spot. He picked an offensive lineman that we've been able to spotlight on our Pick 6 prospect watch. Shout out to our Wrench gang, TC, Gregory, and also our boy Mendoza. Mendoza and I are the ones handling that Pick 6 sports prospect watch hashtag.
Yeah, I know.
Let's be clear. The guys you were dropping even before the season started, all of a sudden got Reese Bowl invites.
For
Funny
real,
how that works.
Man, they've been killing it.
That works.
Reese's Bowl been killing it. I'm gonna have to find my way out there to Mobile. But Graham Barton was the pick for Dallas. Right now, he's a left tackle for Duke. With the lack of length, he's gonna be pushed down inside to the interior. He's got the ability to play some center, which he did earlier in his career as a freshman, took on some snaps. at the Senior Bowl. He's got the invite. I've been hitting up Jim Nagy, telling him, hey, please give us some snaps where Graham Barton can play the center spot so we can be able to see what that looks like. But chances are he's going to be a tremendous guard or center in the league. Knowing what we have coming up with Tyler Biadasz, will Dallas be able to keep him as a free agent hitting the market this year? He's done a great job. He's been able to grow. But do they have enough money in the pot to be able to pay all the guys they have to pay, and now deciding to pay your center top dollar? Or what are they going to do with Tyler Smith? Will he stay at the guard spot where he's been dominant, been an all-pro caliber player, or do you move him to the left tackle spot because maybe Tyron Smith will retire? What's going to happen with Tyler? No matter what, you get a guy like Graham Barton into the mix, you throw him into that offensive line, he can play, to me, all 5 positions on the field. So that holds high value for me. We know Dallas likes his positional flex. So shout out to Dane Brugler. Follow Dane if you haven't followed him. Go and get the subscription to The Athletic. Right now, it's like $1 a month for the year. They're running that special. Man, that's eating at McDonald's once. So it's definitely worth it just to be able to have his content. And there's a few other guys on The Athletic that I like to follow for some other content. But Dallas picking an offensive lineman, we know that they're good in the first round doing that.
Yes.
I'm going to go out there and say it now. This is where I'm at. 11 games in. I don't think Tommy Biadasz is back next year.
That's where I land. I think they can look at the draft, whatever the case may be. I think he's out. Also, we've said this before,
but allow me to say it again.
Tom Smith is a guard, ladies and
gentlemen. It is what it is.
Yep.
It's a wrap. No, can he play tackle? Yes. Can Zach Martin play tackle? Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Playing tackle
well versus being an all-pro at your natural position left guard, it is what it is. And what we've kind of done, and this is what we'll watch the rest of the year.
If we crack the
code where Tyron doesn't have to practice and he plays just the way he is, that gives you another year of Awesome Richards getting trained to be that left tackle. So I'm buying that out of the gate from the very first mock draft. But whether he's the guy or not, I don't think Tyler Biadasz is going to get the franchise tag. So if he does not sign a very team-friendly deal, I do think the Cowboys are moving on.
Yeah, I agree with you, BJ. It's been he had a Pro Bowl year last year, but this year, a little up and down. What you see, he's getting pushed back a lot more than before. Again, I'm with you. Let them test the market out. Let them see what they feel. If they can bring them back cheap, that's one thing. But I do agree that once the season's over, a discussion will be made about should they bring them back. And I think going to the draft route is some good prospects, especially with Dom has been put in, showing us some good prospects out there that they may want to consider.
I'm going to say one more thing. I don't think the Cowboys are going to
use a franchise tag at all this year.
Nah, not at all.
No.
At all.
That don't seem to make sense.
I wouldn't.
They'll get CD inked early. They'll make things work with Dak because he's deserving to go ahead and get that extension because his cap hit next year is going to be like $66 million. That's too much. They'll get all that ironed out, and making those deals work will actually help them cap-wise.
Yep.
So, yeah, you got to rebuild that offensive line. You kind of go ahead. I like how you put that, Spoonie. Let Tyler Biadasz test the market.
Right.
And what you're seeing out of Tyron Smith, Tyron's going to be back next year.
Feels that way.
You may not
we got to wait and see how. We have to see how the rest of the season goes, but if it goes how it's went the last 2-3 weeks and they crack the code, he's back here for sure, and you get another year with Awesome Richards within the scheme. Absolutely. And you should want that.
Right.
Yep. So, I put that out back in, I think, end of October, maybe 1st of November. Graham Barton, you move him inside the guard or center, and that kid is going to be a great player in this league.
So my guy
Uba, are the Cowboys drafting Zach Martin's successor at right guard? Here's the thing: you might have him in Zach Bass. Let's be honest.
Right.
You might. You ain't got to worry about that next season, I don't think.
But I think you gotta walk. Look,
The one thing that's went unnoticed here, right, to me,
with Zach Bass and also with Austin
Richards.
TJ Bass.
I'm TJ
Bass. I'm sorry. I say, my brother's friend's name is Zach Bass. Sorry. But TJ Bass and Austin Richards they got one guy late in the draft and one guy undrafted who absolutely have upside and fit what they want to do here. So now you got some bridges in the way. Center's going to definitely be the situation. There's a little offseason peanut butter there. Got a little offseason peanut butter there for sure, Dom. No ifs or buts about it. But I think as we've started from the outset, whenever Richards got here, guard, things have kind of played out. We've seen him in tackle. I think now, yesterday's price ain't today's price. I think now they can re-look at it like, you know what? We know what he did in college tackle-wise. Let's get him in that offseason program, get him beefed up a little bit, and let's keep working that tackle situation with Richards. And now you have TJ Bass on the back end, what he's been able to do, and we've seen him in real time. Keep working that. So from a depth standpoint, look, let's go. It is what it is. I ain't jumping on that wagon or talking about it left, with the shoulders or whatever's going on. But you look at these two young guys on the roster right now where you are, gives you the flexibility when it comes to the draft and what you're looking to get in here. Center should be circled number 1, I think. We'll wait and see. Spoonie, to agree here. Let it test the market, come back, see where it's at. If it's too much, then cool, move on and figure it out.
That's where it should be at, for sure.
Right.
Wow, man, if we get Graham Barton, I'm going to be excited.
Yes, Gregory, yes. I want
Trotter Jr. here. I've been on this wagon on Twitter. Yes, I want Trotter Jr. like yesterday, but it's wait and see.
Second round pick. I'm gonna say this. What's the Eagles' center name?
Kelsey.
And what is his best quality, attribute?
His beard.
Communication from an athletic standpoint.
Athleticism.
Athletically, that kid,
pad level.
He is so fast, y'all. In fact, I can't remember, but I think it was his shuttle was the fastest that they recorded on an offensive line. And so you're able to see him get into these pools and just killing guys on the second, third level. Over and over and over, they were able to utilize him in pools, which is a major advantage when your center can do that and then do it effectively. Graham Barton got that kind of movement skill. He's got it, and he's a big guy too. So you're gonna get more of a Travis Frederick sized guy, which will help with the anchor, not being able to be pushed back.
Real quick, so because everybody's going to go look at his footage. What college? Give him the college.
Duke. He's number 62, but you're going to see him play left tackle for Duke this past season. But earlier in his career there, he played a little bit of center, a little bit of some guard, but really he's been their left tackle the last few seasons. And he starred at it. He's done a great job. So you'll see him pulling and doing all types of things for them. Just great movement skills. Kind of reminded me of Matthew Bergeron last year from Syracuse, who was also a big guy, a guy that we come to find out from the
Cowboys almost took it 26.
Cowboys almost took him instead of Mozzie. And they probably would have kicked him down the guard because they kept referring to him as such, though he also played left tackle as a collegiate player. But yeah, that's to me what Dane did in that first mock. It makes a lot of sense based on what we know the Cowboys potentially may need, and that's one of the premier offensive linemen in this class. It's a pretty deep offensive line class. So, shout out to Dane. Good job, brother.
So, Spoonie,
you got that sermon in you? You ready?
Oh yes, I'm always waiting for a sermon. Yes, sir.
Oh, well,
gentlemen, get the collection plates around.
Okay, make sure y'all are ready. Let me set the mood here.
Let me set the mood here, because one thing we don't need in a smooth sermon, right? We don't need no stinking music in the background. Hold on, can I get the music out of here? Hold on, where's the audio? What am I doing? Hold on. Look, I'm on my phone, guys. Bear with me. I'm out of pocket here.
You know what, Spoon? You just go ahead and
Go for it, because apparently I
No
can't
doubt.
stop the music. So, Spoonie Sermon, ladies and gentlemen.
They said Dak Prescott is not MVP candidate. That's bullshit. They said CeeDee Lamb is not a top 5 wide receiver. That's bullshit. They said Mike McCarthy should be on the hot seat. They should have kept Kellen Moore. That's bullshit. They said the Cowboys would struggle when Diggs went down because of DeRon Bland. That's bullshit. When we was all babies growing up, we all been potty trained. Our parents told us, you don't take your shit with you, you leave it in the toilet.
Oh.
And we all know when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, they damn always carry their bullshit. You see, unlike the Philadelphia Eagles who eat their bullshit, it's on video, I'm just calling out the obvious. We don't take no bullshit. Our home record tells you that we don't take no bullshit. So Seattle, I'm sorry. I have to be the bearer of bad news. But you see, you're coming to doomsday home, doomsday defense. And you see, here's the thing. Sometimes a cartoon character, they always say, just put them out. No. You see what's going to happen Thursday Night Football. We're going to knock your asses out. We're going to clip your wings because you know why? We have a date with Destiny Week 10 at Dallas versus the Eagles. This is going to be a tune warm-up for the ass whipping. Then, after the ass whipping, we're going to come back Friday. We're going to hear some more bullshit because at the end of the day, Cowboy Nation, this was about. We are dealing with people who don't leave their shit in the toilet. They just want to take it with them and carry and throw it. And guess what? We don't take no bullshit. Seattle, during this tour that we're going to go through into the playoffs, we're going to knock you out and put you out for good.
No BS. 10 toes down from Spoonie. No BS. On the meter, he said what he said. We ain't trailed for 1 second at home all year. We ain't trailing tomorrow night either, dadgummit. We ain't trailing tomorrow night either, dadgummit. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all for rocking with us. As always, it's free 99 to tell a friend to tell a friend. Come over here, hit that sub. Come rock with us as we're pivoting. It's been a different year, a lot of different challenges for us. Personally, things are going on, but we still show up and do what we got to do for the people. And of course, it doesn't end on the season. You know, the draft, so we got some draft content tonight, but we be in overdrive on draft content. So make sure, know if it's a bunch y'all are on this way. Of course, I'm making a return, by the way, for those that have not subbed or not, you got to sub, that have not downloaded the Pro Sports Fan app with our president, Sean Salisbury, PSF app, Android or iOS. Make sure you go over there and download it. Make sure you join the Cowboys chat group. Now, any other fan of team, other sports, they got chat groups over there too. Basically, the best way I can tell you, it's like a nothing but sports social media platform via Twitter. Kind of like that. Neither here nor there. I'm live in the building though, third tomorrow night. Yes. We me and my guy Lando, we did the first. We have our shows weekly over there. Pause. But on the other side, we were doing the first 6 shows, live cast and everything else. Guess what? I'm back in the building tomorrow night. Hey, they say, Nix, we need somebody. We need a closer. I said, say less. I got you. So I'm back. I'll be live streaming the game tomorrow night over there with some of the compadres. And, of course, you can hit the link and join. Like Sweeney joined our show last night. Got in the building, did whatever. built for the fan. The fan controls the narrative, so make sure y'all go over there and download the Pro Sports Fan app, PSF, Android or iOS, and enjoy this tomorrow. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. While you're here, though, if you've not hit that thumbs up yet, make sure you do that for us as we're building this brand and drawing things on the backside. Yeah, man. I mean, Cowboys, 9-3 after tomorrow, and then we get 13 days, Dom. Talk about retribution.
And those Eagles. I can't wait.
Cannot wait.
Knock him out. Knock him out. Knock him out.
Cannot wait. With that being said, Dom, last word for you
Tonight, and then we'll last word from Spoony. Go right ahead, good sir.
Enjoy the ride.
The motto.
That's a Pick Six motto. Enjoy the mother
Ride. Spoony, last word from you, sir.
Let's dominate, then celebrate.
Talk. With that being said, no matter what, ladies and gentlemen, it is
always forward.
Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Of course, y'all catch us next week. Bada bing, bada boom.
Friday, game Thursday, Friday.
We'll see tentatively. Don't know if we'll do anything Friday, but sure, we're back in the building next week for sure. Y'all be safe, be blessed. Peace.